But picture this. Picture your grandfather. He has an older brother. You have a younger brother, right? And imagine that he's going through childhood and he's growing up watching his brother. Him and his brother are really close, right? And they are some of the best dressed kids. They got all of the perks and amenities that most black kids want. They are having it, right? And it is, from the outside looking in, it looks sweet, right? It looks like it's, dang, they getting it. They come to school.
They got it going over there.
They got it going on. They got the threads. They got the vines. They come to school. They driving cars at an early age. They got access to things. So they are the coolest kids to a certain degree because of what their parents are allowing them and affording them to have, right? But when he goes to school, just because he got money don't mean that the white kids won't try to beat him up, won't gang up on him. You know what I'm saying? These are stories that I've heard from my aunts who was there living it with them. You understand what I'm saying? We can't get his perspective. We can't get his words, but they've told these stories to me that kids would chase them home every day in elementary school. But because your great grandfather, my grandfather, they were huntsmen, they were fishermen, they were outdoorsmen. So guns was something that they were familiar with, right? My father takes the gun, takes one of the pistols to school. Kids is chasing him. He turns around and shoots the gun. Kids don't chase them no more.
Simple as that.
They don't chase them no more. Okay.
Wow.
What does that tell you? This means something. This gun that I carry demands respect. You understand? At an early age, I learned that this gun demands respect. Even though I knew that going hunting and going fishing, guns are used to hunt. But I knew that, I also know as a child now, that if I keep something like this with me, won't nobody mess with me, right? Now, this is the norm, the dysfunctional normal for us, right? Not go to school happily, lolly-dotty, hee, go to school, have a good time, go home, and it's all love, right? No. Every day you had to go to school, you have to think about how you gonna get home, right? You have to think about how are you gonna get past that thing that's standing in your way every day that you go to school, right? That messes with your psyche. That does something to you when you have to do that over and over and over again, to where you dang near get desensitized to, you know what? This isn't going to happen anymore. You're not going to do this to me anymore. I'm not going to be the one who's going to take the brunt of this anymore. And from this point on, I'm going to be in control. I'm going to have some type of control over what happens to me, not just somebody think they can do anything they want to me, right? So that's something that was happening to him at an early age before anything else even surfaced, before anything else is even coming into the picture. He's having to deal with these things in his dysfunctional normal, right? So early childhood, that's what's going through your grandfather's head, right? So we're being affected by what's going on in our environment, even when our parents have money, even when our parents are giving us things that would make us happy, because these are things that we want from a material perspective, right? But we still dealing with it. We still going through it. We still having to figure out how can we maneuver in this world and make our way without getting caught up and messed up in it, right? So that was the thought, that was the mind, that was the movement that was caused by those things even before we knew what was happening, even when my father was a child. So that was what life was at an early age, before any of the other elements even come into the equation. You're just a child. You're just going to school and going home. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
but
like a normal kid.
Yeah, but you can't just go to school and come home like a normal kid already, okay? So imagine that you and your brother, y'all going through this. You get to a place where you find a way to make that normal. You didn't fix that part somehow. I can get through that now, right? And your brother, at the age of, I believe it was 15, maybe.
Who was 15?
Your grandfather's brother, my uncle, was about 15, 16 years old, right? And they've been growing up. So you looking at your brother like a kid, right? Whatever y'all was going through with the dealing with adversity, racism, different things like that, that's different, right? Then you watching your brother grow up, and then all of a sudden your brother begins to change right in front of your eyes, okay? This is in the 70s. This is when heroin becomes like mainstream, damn near, right? And you're looking at your brother, and your brother is going from being just a kid, regular kid. He going to his family's house, hanging at family members' houses, hanging with friends. You know what I'm saying? And then your brother begins to change right before your eyes, and there's nothing that you can do as a child, right? You're looking at him and you're saying, wow, what is going on right now? Okay. But this goes on for years. This goes on, and eventually your uncle, your great uncle, my uncle, is murdered, right? So he's murdered at the age of 18, 19, I believe, right? And so imagine that, okay? That you're growing up and you watching your brother and y'all kids and y'all going through kid stuff. And then all of a sudden your brother begins to go through grown people stuff and become a grown person right in front of your eyes. But as he's becoming a grown person, he's not becoming a grown person that's being, quote unquote, a responsible adult. You understand what I'm saying? He's becoming an adult, but he's a drug addict becoming an adult. So you're watching your brother and you hurt. I can imagine that you're hurting right now. I can imagine that you're going through something just by having to watch your brother going down that road. Okay. One of my aunts said that he had to give him food one time, right? And he came home and he was crying because he was affected by seeing his brother that way. That means something. That does something to you when you have to watch the people that you love go through things like that, right? And when he got killed, it was like your grandfather was never the same again. So for you didn't ever hear about
none of that
pre him being basically a gangster. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know nothing before your grandfather was a gangster. I don't know none of that.
So he was a regular kid to a certain degree. You understand what I'm saying? Outside of dealing with racism and dealing with the elements that go along with being in Black America, where you got drugs and different things going on around you, and you just learning how to maneuver and deal with what's going on around you. So now you get to a place where it's like, I'll never be the same again. Not only did his brother get murdered, but instead of someone going to identify his brother at the morgue, the police brought him to the house where the bodies were still laying to identify his brother. So now you got this image of all of this carnage that's been taking place where your brother has been taken away from you. And I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But I know some people out here do. I know some people out here in the world that's living in Black America like I lived in Black America. I know they do know how that feel because it happens in Black America. So, but after that happens, your grandmama, my mama, she's like, the dude that I was messing with before that was not that dude after that. So, and really, that's why your grandmama and your granddad couldn't be together. You understand what I'm saying? Because the life that he was going into was a life that she couldn't afford to be in. So she had to step away from him because of where he was going. And that's how the separation occurs again now, right? So your grandfather, he's with a mama and a daddy. Your grandmama, she's with a mama and a daddy, right? But when I come into the world, I ain't with a mama and a daddy. I'm only with a mama.
And the thing about that is, and what's so deeper is you couldn't choose that.
No choice.
You don't have a choice. And that's what people, I mean, a lot of people don't understand that, you know, and I didn't understand that because I'm young. You don't have a choice. Like you said, this is where I know, you know, you don't really have a choice of how you come into this world and what's going to happen from an early age till you make the decision and you can make a choice to what you want to do. Like your dad did, just like his grandfather, I mean, his brother did, which is my grandfather's brother, right?
No, your grandfather's
my
brother.
grandfather's brother, just like him. When he didn't have a choice, but when he was able to make his own choice, you can go one way or the other.
But life will catch you, though.
Yeah, you know,
life will catch you. You make a decision to do one thing, and then that one thing begins something, right? And that begins a track that you're gonna either get to a point in a crossroads where you can make a decision to go again which way. Sometimes you don't get the crossroad. Sometimes you don't make it to the crossroad. Sometimes you get to the crossroad and maybe you didn't make the right decision at the crossroad, right? But before the crossroad ever happens, right? Before the crossroad is ever occurring, things are happening over and over again. Things are happening that's sending you this way and turning you and then turning you and turning you to get to that place that here I now find myself having to make that decision, the decision that is in some cases life or death decision, in some cases jail or freedom decision, right? In some cases affecting my life in a way where my life may never be the same again, even though I didn't get killed, I didn't go to jail, but my life will never be the same again, right? So there's a backdrop to that. There's a driving force to moving you down this road that you're going in, right? And for your grandfather, seeing his brother be or having to witness what he witnessed with his brother was something that changed him in a profound way, and he was never the same again. Even when he wanted to go in another direction, even when he was finally in his heart and his mind, what I believe based on what all the things that were stated to me as his son is that he was wanting to get to the other side from where he was, which was headed towards death. In the end is what it was. So he wanted to get to a better place, to a better side, and he wasn't able to make it to that place, right? So, but if you go back and you say, well, how does this man get to here? How does this man get to this place where he's in this place? It's because of the things that are happening around us, and it's because we don't have a roadmap that's going to tell us, right? Like you growing up, I always felt like with your choices and decisions that you would have to make, that I was giving you advice or giving you wisdom in a way where I would tell you what the outcomes would be. I would be able to foresee your outcomes for you when you cannot see them. You understand what I'm saying? When it's dark, I can tell you what's finna happen. Right? That is something that we lack as Black people, as Black America. Not saying that it's not there, not saying that people aren't trying to help you and give you positive reinforcements and, you know, build you up to be a responsible person, a responsible Black person in this world. But a lot of times when it gets really dark for us, when we really need that somebody to paint a picture for us, that's where I found that's where the lack comes in at, because people they're not able to give you the picture. They're not able to tell you what the outcomes are going to be in a way where you can see it clearly, right? So this is who your grandfather is. You know, he's walking down the road and his father gave him the things that he gave him. They family is well off. They're able to do certain things and have certain things. And he gets to a place where he is a entrepreneur. He goes to work for himself every day. He's an auto mechanic. Your great grandfather opens a shop. The shop is supposed to be for your grandfather and your uncle, your great uncle, my uncle. But because he was murdered, it couldn't be. So instead, it turned into Pawpaw going to the shop and working with my dad, which I didn't even understand. I never knew that. You understand what I'm saying? I never knew that Pawpaw he was going to work for Amico, open the shop, let Bo and my dad run the shop while he was over here doing something else. But instead, it turned into Bo's gone, Amico laid off, Pawpaw goes to the shop, makes enough money, keeps the shop open until he retires 30 years later. And that's how your knowledge of what the shop is. You know what I'm saying?
That's the small knowledge that I got at that.